News now from the Indian Premier League. The Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru is one of the country's most iconic grounds. But on Monday, the venue seemed anything but a cricket stadium. To put it bluntly, it turned into a graveyard for the bowlers. As many as 81 boundaries were hit in the match, and after a point, it started to look like more of an exhibition game than a competitive cricket match. The team batting first, Sunrisers Hyderabad, went on to smash its own record for the highest total in league's history. The Orange Army clobbered a record total of 287 runs, of which 208 runs came in boundaries alone. It was the kind of hitting that defied cricketing logic and went far beyond imagination. Now, surprisingly, this wasn't just a one-off story, nor an example of some rare batting phenomena. As it turned out, the team batting second, RCB too, came to the party with fireworks of their own. Even though their effort wasn't enough to surpass the visitors on the night, but even they managed to score 262 runs, of which 192 came in boundaries. Now, back in the day, the IPL was conceived to be a tournament to entertain the crowds. And the crowds love nothing more than seeing the ball being sent into orbit. But something about this edition of the IPL is unusual. The big hitting has gone to another level and records have been broken left, right and center. The record for the highest total in the tournament's history has been smashed twice in the space of 4 weeks, with a little more than half the tournament yet to be played. In fact, 4 of the top 5 highest totals in the history of the competition have all come during these 3 weeks. With SRH scoring the top 2, the record for the highest total prior to the start of this IPL that stayed intact for 11 years was in danger of slipping to the 5th spot, at RCB fell short by just 1 run yesterday to better their own record. Now, as they say, anything is all right when consumed in moderation. Now, the IPL scores this season have been anything but moderate. In fact, such has been the excess of bat dominating the ball that it has begun to invite criticism from all quarters.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult. Once that run rate starts creeping up, I mean, I started at 14, and you have one bat over and it goes to 16. So it was never going to be a game where you could talk about batsmanship, I don't think. It was a game where you talk about who hit the most sixes. And
now, there are plenty of reasons why T20 cricket has favoured the batters. Reasons range from the big size of modern bats, smaller boundaries and the emergence of the all-rounders. But then these reasons existed even when the first season of IPL came in about 2008. So that begs the question, what has changed this season in particular that scores have gone into the stratosphere? Let's take a closer look and examine 3 main reasons why it's happening this season. Now, reason number 1 is that teams have benefited from the impact player rule, which was introduced by the BCCI last year. But perhaps it's in the second season of the rule that teams have perfected the way that it should be used. As a result, the batting order for teams has become longer, with some teams in fact batting till number 9, and that allows the entire batting lineup to take more risks while batting, knowing fully well that they have enough batters down the order too.
Gets to sit out, take it easy, get 100 and just sit back in the day.
Reason number 2 is absolute belters of tracks being served up. Earlier, venues like Kolkata, Chepauk, Hyderabad were known to aid spinners and would be sluggish at times, but now even these have shed their character and turned into flat decks. Resultantly, the games are now heavily skewed in favour of those wielding the willow.
With a field which has been brought in.
And finally, reason number 3, like most things that evolve over time, T20 cricket has gone the same route. The intent from batters has become more positive every passing year. They have added new shots to their armoury, and teams now eye totals which at one point used to be ODI scores. Even the internal competition between batters has intensified, with each trying to outdo the other in terms of strike rates. And all these factors have contributed in totals going up. Now, while evolution is a natural process, it can't be applied to only one facet of the game. While the batters flourish, fans and experts alike are now demanding justice for the bowlers too. So what are the steps that can be taken on an immediate basis to ensure bowlers don't get lost in oblivion? So here are some quick fixes that the BCCI can look into immediately. Step number one, maybe increase the size of the boundary. That could be one. It's not that the grounds in India are small, but to invite more boundaries, the organizers bring the boundary ropes in, resulting in some grounds having only 60-meter long boundaries. Maybe standardizing the size of the boundaries to, let's say, a minimum 75 meters will not only make it hard for the batters to clear the rope, but even bowlers will feel they can afford to flight the ball much more in an attempt to deceive the batters. Now, the other thing that can be done immediately is bring the natural character back into the pitches. Now, if pitches are made in a way that aids fast or spin bowling, then an even contest can be seen. It can be used as a case few years ago that we saw when some pitches would have an extra layer of grass to aid the pacers or be left dry so that spinners get some grip. But such pitches now are a rarity. Time maybe to go back to that. And lastly, a rule that does not ever exist in international cricket, maybe it needs to go out of the IPL too. We are talking about the impact player rule. Not only is the balance of the game being lost because of this, but also all-rounders are becoming irrelevant to the game as a result. Going back to 11 versus 11 could be another way of ensuring a healthy contest exists between the bat and the ball. But while the stakeholders of the IPL still contemplate what needs to be done going forward, this season be prepared to witness a few more run fest in the IPL. After all, we are not even halfway into the tournament yet. So, for the time being, here are our prayers and best wishes to all the bowlers plying their trade in this IPL. That's all that we have in our Indian Premier League segment for the moment.